Hello everyone. I know I haven't posted anything or done a video like I said I would, so I'm going ahead and making this video. This is a video for mental awareness in regards to people that don't understand what bipolar disorder is, and I am going to share my personal experiences in regards to bipolar disorder. A lot of people don't understand bipolar disorders. They think that is just like mood swings and that everybody just has mood swings, and that's not the case. Bipolar disorder is a real illness for some people that do not think it's real, and some people think that everyone has a little bit bipolar. It is not those mood swings that sometimes people have. So I'm going to go ahead and educate you a little bit more in regards to bipolar disorder. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 21 years old. Not 21. It was before I was 21 years old. It was like, yes, it was when I was 21 years old. Okay, I was just like forgetting. Well, I don't remember the exact age, but I remember that I was in denial of the illness for like about 5 years. I didn't want to believe that I had bipolar disorder because I did not want to be on medication for the rest of my life. I was thinking of later on that I didn't want to have kids and I didn't want to breastfeed, and if I'm taking a bunch of medication I wouldn't be able to do that. So what ended up happening was that I had to get extremely sick to be able to accept my illness. I am a very stubborn and hard-headed person. It takes me it takes learning the hard way for me to learn a lesson. And I know that it shouldn't be like that. You should be wise and learn from other people's experiences without having to go through it yourself. But I am very stubborn, so all the experiences that I have had is because I had to learn the hard way. I want to explain a little bit more before I go into my experience when I was sick of what bipolar disorder is. Bipolar disorder is when they have extreme ups and extreme lows. Everybody has their regular ups and downs, but when you have bipolar disorder, it's extremely up or it's extremely down. And there is different types of bipolar disorder. I have bipolar disorder type 1. There is bipolar type 2, and there's other different types that is not called bipolar disorder, but I'm going to go ahead and let you know the way that you can know the different types. So the way that you can know the different types of the bipolar disorder is depending on what type of episodes you've had. If you had more than 2 psychosis episodes, then you would be considered bipolar type 1. If you're more on the depressive side and have not gone extremely to the manic, psychotic episodes, then you've only, I forget, it's called hypomania when you just feel really good, but it's not an extreme up where you lose in touch with reality. It's just you're feeling really up, you feel a lot of energy, you feel very productive, but it's not to the getting out of reality. When you have that, it's called bipolar disorder type 2. It's more when you're more on the depressive side and never had psychosis episodes. I have had psychosis episodes, so I am considered bipolar disorder type 1. The way that you get it is by genetics. Basically, if you have history of someone having bipolar disorder on your side of the family, more than likely you can get it. My mom has bipolar disorder, so that's the reason why I got it. And I have 3 other siblings, so there's a total of 4 of us. Half of us got it. Me, the middle children are the ones that got it. So 2 out of 4, 50% got it. So if you know that you have a history of people with mental illnesses in your family, there is more of a chance that you can have this illness. And okay, so I have experience getting out of touch from reality, what people consider crazy or cuckoo, or where some people have to go to the mental hospital for this. I'm very blessed to have a father as a pharmacist assistant, a PA, and he was able to take care of me and just have me locked down in my house pretty much. So he has already had a lot of experience because of my mom, and thank goodness I didn't have to be admitted to a mental hospital. I was able to stay home because my dad would prescribe me medicine and try to get me to sleep. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk about my experience when I got extremely sick for a whole year. This was in 2017. So it's about 3 years ago when I got really sick. I would, like I said, I didn't accept my mental illness, so I would take my medication, but not consistently. I never took it consistently. Like, I would take it and then I would stop taking it. And then I would take it and then I would stop taking it. I didn't like taking medication because I felt like it made me feel numb. And I didn't like that. Like, I didn't like feeling like a zombie pretty much. So I never took my medicine consistently. So that caused me to get sick. It didn't take, I had already previously before gotten sick for like about 3 days only. And then I think the other time that I got sick, it lasted a little bit longer. And then it came to the point where I got sick for a whole year. So I was what's called manic for 3 months. Manic is basically where you have so much energy and you are so productive. And you just want to conquer the whole world pretty much. So I basically felt like that. I was on a high. Usually people that are manic feel like they do not need much sleep. They can sleep like 2 or 3 hours and then feel like they no longer need sleep. That is what can cause people to become sick. Imagine a person that doesn't have even a mental illness without going to sleep for 3 days, they can already start like being, psychotic. Everybody that gets extremely sick like that could experience that. But yes, imagine a person that has a mental illness and their chemicals in the brain are not balanced. It is really bad. So I went ahead and could not sleep. I went a whole night without sleeping, and that's when I got sick. And it was really, really bad. I could not sleep. I would sleep 2 or 3 hours and then I would wake up again. And the thing about like bipolar disorder is that some people, depending on your type of personality, you get, like, when you're manic, whatever your personality is, you become more of it. So if you're like a really organized and like clean person, you just like start cleaning and being cleaning everything because you're just such a clean person. For example, somebody that is like not like an angry person maybe might start cussing and just get like having all these angry episodes. As for me, I'm a very clean person, so what I would do when I would get sick is clean and clean and clean and clean and clean and clean, and that's what I was doing. And just felt like I had so much energy. My dad would give me really strong medicine to try to get me to sleep. Like, he would give me shots, and those shots would put me down for maybe an hour or two, and then after that I would just be up again. I was so drugged to the point that I was basically walking like a zombie and I was drooling through my mouth. That's how bad I was. And I still couldn't sleep. My dad had to experiment a lot of medications on me until he found the right medications that helped me to sleep. So I was like that for 3 months. And they could not leave me alone because I was trying to escape from the house. There came a time that I did actually escape from the house. I basically jumped over the fence on my backyard. I actually got cut, like a really bad cut. I still have the scar in my hand. You can't see it, but I did get a scar when I went ahead and I hopped over the fence. And I was basically barefoot. I didn't have any shoes on, and I was just like running. And I was like going to people's houses and like knocking on their door because I don't know, I just wanted to get out of my house because I thought that my parents were gonna kill me. Again, I was out of touch of reality, so I thought that they were like really bad and were gonna want to kill me. And so that's the reason why I was like running away. And I ended up going to a home of a lady that she was very, very nice and took me in. She cleaned up my cut. She gave me to eat, and she let me be on on the phone. When I was sick, my parents did not want me to talk to anybody or have any communications, because when you become manic, you become very talkative and social, and you start like talking to everybody. And that's what I was doing until he took away the phone, and I wanted to like be on the phone. So that's what I was doing while I was there. And my family called the cops, and they were like looking for me. And one of my, I guess you can say, ex-boyfriends like messaged me saying that they were worried about me. I had actually started messaging people on Facebook and telling them that if they could take me to a women's shelter, because I'd rather be in a women's shelter. I asked a friend if he could take me, and he basically never replied back. And the lady was asking me if I had family, and I didn't want to tell her if I had family or not. And yeah, it was bad. She could tell that I was very drugged and something was wrong with me. So I ended up getting in contact with my family and telling them where I was. The lady was so nice to drive me back to my house. I was like, her house was just like around the block, and she ended up giving me shoes that I could keep, which were some Nike shoes, because I was barefoot. She lent me shoes, and she said that I could just keep them. She was that kind, and she really liked having me around. So she said if I ever wanted to hang out or just like be at her house, I could go over. That's how sweet and kind this lady was to take me in. So like, I really appreciate that I had her. So that was just like one of my experiences that I had where I was very manic. I am not embarrassed to say that there was a time again that I escaped in the middle of the night. I was half naked and I didn't have a shirt on, and I was just like running around the streets, jumping on people's around backyards, trying not to get into the main roads. I was thinking like I was going to basically I wanted to run all the way to Harlingen, which was like 30 minutes away from where I lived, to go to my ex-boyfriend's house. I was running with an Xbox controller and in my hand with oatmeal. On the oatmeal, like just not like the like actual oatmeal made already, but like the little oats. Like I was running around like that, and like I was sprinkling the oatmeal like on people's backyards and stuff like that. And I ended up running on the actual road, and I guess my parents found out that I had escaped, and they called the cops. And I basically saw somebody running. The cops stopped me, and they started saying, no, okay, I'm forgetting. I think what ended up happening was I saw somebody like running, and I was telling him to like help me, and then he like said to just stay there, and I think he called the cops. And then they were asking me like who I was, and I didn't want to tell them, and I was so scared that I ended up like this guy was like without a shirt too. He was like working out and running, and then I just like pressed myself against him, and I was like, please help me. And then my parents came, and then the cops put me in the back of their car, and I was like not wanting to go in, and I was like screaming and stuff like that. And then what ended up happening was they took me back to my house, and when they were getting me out, my dad was trying to get me, and I ended up kicking him in the knee really hard, and I really hurt him. And then they got me into the house, and they put me on basically to sit down, and I was just like crazy. And a lot of cops came to the house, and I think the neighbors later on like judged my family for it, because my mom said that there was a neighbor that always say hi, and after that happened, they like stopped saying hi. And I think it was because all the cops came that day, and they were probably thinking that, I don't know, they did something bad or something. But yeah, that's basically another time. That was one time. And there was another time that I also escaped from the house again. I would try to escape to the house as much as I possibly could. And I was basically gonna go run. I ran all the way because I wanted to run all the way to the mall, which wasn't that far away. I wanted to basically run to the mall to buy new glasses, black glasses. Again, it had to do with my ex-boyfriend, because he wanted black glasses. He liked black glasses. So that was the reason why. And my brother ended up grabbing me and convincing me to go back. So I did end up going back. Later on, my mom took me to get glasses another day, and I ended up getting a new pair of glasses because my glasses were really messed up already. So those were like some times that I remember that I was manic. So I was out of reality already at that point. After depression hits, normally people with bipolar disorder get extremely down. I ended up going to the point where I was very, very depressed for 8 months. I would go a week without showering, and I never wanted to get out of bed. My mom bought me like 5 pounds of chocolate because she knows that I like chocolate. I would go without eating, and I would only eat chocolate. I ended up finishing that 5-pound bag of chocolate. All I would do was just like be in my bed all day and like eat chocolate and watch TV shows on the laptop. At that point, my family was able to rest. And my dad was finally able to get sleep because I would always keep him up late at night whenever I couldn't sleep, and I never wanted to be in my room, so I would sleep in between my parents, and I would basically be moving around all the time and getting up, and my dad was not able to like sleep very well. So after I got depressed, I was always in my room, so they didn't have to worry about me anymore, and they didn't have to worry that I was going to run away, that they could actually leave me alone and not have to have somebody like supervising me all the time. I forgot to mention that whenever I got manic, they ended up changing all the locks and turning them inside out so that I wouldn't be able to go out of the door. So that was another thing that happened. But yeah, I was depressed for a very long time, longer than manic episodes, and it was just really hard. When I was manic also, I would be afraid. I would think that I was gonna die, and I was like so afraid of dying because I was so scared. I was so scared of dying because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I did have so much faith in that there was an afterlife, but I was so scared, and I was very confused during that time. And I would talk to my older brother who doesn't really believe in God, and he would question a lot of things and say like this and that, and it would just like confuse me. And it came to the point where I stopped believing in God. For the people that do know me, they know that the gospel is basically my life, that I've always had it in my life, and that is a part of me, of who I am. So to stop believing in God, to stop praying, to stop reading the scriptures, to not want to go to church, I was really at a bad place at that point. I had basically lost all my faith. I lost my faith because I was sick and I was not getting any better, and I would always pray to get better, and it was not happening. So I stopped believing completely. The only way that I really do think that this experience was basically a trial of my faith. It made me stronger, and it basically tested my faith, and I did start believing again. But it wasn't until I met my husband. He was really the light that got me out of darkness when I was very depressed. He helped me to go back to work and to be able to feel the desire to be a better person. He helped me to see that light and be able to want to go back to church. He gave me that desire, and I'm so glad that he came into my life when he did, because that was a very dark time for me, and if it wasn't for him, I probably would maybe have done things that were really bad, because at that point I stopped caring about my decisions and my choices, and I did things that I just basically didn't care. Another thing about bipolar disorder is a lot of people with bipolar disorder like get into drugs and drinking. I've never drank, or I've never ever done drugs, so that wasn't really something that I did. But they do say that when you have bipolar disorder, you get very promiscuous and just like sleep around and stuff. And yeah, I kind of like would mess around a bit because I didn't care, because I thought there was not an afterlife. So like I said, like it took my husband to come into my life to help me to get out of that darkness, and I'm very grateful for my friend she was my best friend. Her name was Isabel. She was the one that, if it wasn't for her telling me to get on a Meet Me app, I would have never met my husband. And I'm very grateful just at least that she told me about that app to make friends and meet people. I went on there not really with the desire to date, but more to have friends. I really wanted to have more friends that were girls. So I went on that Meet Me app and I deleted it within like 24 hours because everybody that was on there was just basically messaging me like crazy, asking for like sex and wanting to pay me for that. And I was just like, no, this is too much. So I went ahead and I gave my husband my Snapchat, and that's where we started talking. And yeah, that was basically what helped me to get out of that mentality that I was in, that there was no afterlife and that there was no God. And that's basically my experience with bipolar disorder. I do hope people that do not understand bipolar disorder watch this and realize that it's a mental illness, like it really is, and that they're more aware, especially someone that has a loved one that has this disorder really needs to become educated on that. It was really hard for me in the very beginning to tell if it was my illness or if it was my illness or if it was just like me. And now I like know myself very well. You have to start to get yourself very well to know. So yeah, like I now consistently take my medication. I have a balance now. I have a routine in my life. My dad always would tell me you need to have a routine. People with bipolar disorder cannot like go without sleep because they will get sick. I cannot have a lot of stress in my life because then I will get sick. So that's basically my story that I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys so that you can become more aware of the reality of mental illness, that it's not something that you should be ashamed of. It's not something that you should hide. And I am not ashamed to say that I have a mental illness. Like, I am not ashamed to share my story with others. Especially for the ones that have a loved one that has bipolar disorder. It's hard. Because it's already hard. Marriage is already hard with people that, just like regular people that like do not have an illness. So imagine how much harder it is for like to be married to somebody that has this illness. It takes a lot of patience, and I know that that's one of the things that I'm teaching my husband is patience, and he's teaching me to be able to not be so hard-headed and stubborn and to actually listen to him. So those are the things that we're both learning from each other. We do complement each other very much. So I know that people that have a loved one, it's hard because there is like about 50% rate of divorce for people that have bipolar disorder. There's a 50% rate of suicide, that people do commit suicide with bipolar disorder. They're more likely to commit suicide. And of course I would have like suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, but I never would act on them. But this is my story, and I hope that you learned and that you understand more about bipolar disorder. Go ahead, and if you like to learn like more about the gospel, to go ahead and subscribe, because I am going to later make videos of like the gospel and gospel topics for people that are trying to learn more about God and Jesus Christ and about my religion. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, for the ones that don't know or who did not see my video that I put up. My previous video was horrible. I was recording it on my phone, so it's very shaky. But hopefully this video is a little bit more steady so that you won't get distracted with all my movement. But yes, if you want to go ahead and learn more, go ahead and just hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. Have a great evening or good day, whatever it is.